It's episode 582 of the Locked On Texas Rangers podcast. On today's show, I have Grant Schiller here to talk about what he's seen from Jack Leiter, an overall view of the system, and some general Rangers talk as well. But first, this episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. This Mother's Day, get mom the gift she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off $500. Use code Locked On at checkout. Now, let's get into my talk with Grant Schiller.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On to the Texas Rangers. I'm your host, Bryce Patrick, host of the Locked On Texas Rangers podcast, a 12-year, cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, joined today by my recurring guest, the great, the wonderful, the long time no see, Grant Schiller. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm at 22 years cripplingly addicted now, so a decade longer.
Okay.
More pain.
Oh, so we're just one-upping each other now.
Just out of curiosity.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously I'm better. Like the numbers show.
Well,
that,
yeah, we know that.
The numbers bear that out. So I'm not saying that the numbers are.
The numbers don't lie. Just like they don't lie about the Texas Rangers being insert record here. We're recording this before the Wednesday night game. This will go out on Thursday morning. So we have not seen that. If the Rangers have a 300-0 win,
I'm just gonna say it. The Rangers are 7-11.
Okay, is that a win? That's a win,
yes,
right?
That's
okay.
a win.
And they're back within one. Also, recording this, I forgot to say this on the actual birthday episode, but happy birthday to Corey Ziegler, who is 28 years old and who is God's gift to the Texas Rangers. And the Texas Rangers' gift to him was $325 million, which seems like a pretty good birthday gift. It was a few months early, but still a solid birthday gift, more than I've ever gotten. I did get a Nintendo Switch, so I'm not saying we got the same equivalent of goodness of our birthday gifts, but mine was at least delivered my birthday week, so I'm not saying my brother is a better gift giver than Ray Davis, but I'm most definitely saying that. I most definitely am.
I think your brothers are better at a lot of things than Ray Davis is.
Yeah, I don't think Ray Davis can teach people how to fly airplanes. I'm pretty sure. I'm not going to swear to that because I don't know him personally, but even if he can, I don't think he can fly them or teach them how to fly nearly as well as my brother. Also, I've decked out with my Locked On hat. We were hopping in here to record right after Nick and David Locke recorded their crossover episode, and David Locke immediately dipped out before I could say hi and talk trash on the Jazz. So shout out to David Locke if you're listening. Next time, don't dip out early, because then you could have gotten in on the sweet, sweet Texas Rangers baseball talk. We're talking prospects with the prospect expert, Grant Schiller. Grant, let's just dive into it.
Let's do it.
Who have you been seeing so far in this season? How much have you gotten to go out there? What beautiful, beautiful looks have you gotten at these wonderful Texas Rangers prospects?
So they've had two home series now, or really 1.5, because the first one was a shortened 3-game series out of Frisco. I've gotten out there 3 times, and the big one is Jack Leiter. I saw his second start. I don't know. Have you heard of him? You heard of this guy?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, he's an interesting arm. Bandy guy. They've got a good program. They can turn some of these no-name guys into stars. So they kind of did that with Jack here. Rangers picked him up.
Came from a small school, low round pick, right? Really small signing bonus.
Yeah. So the Rangers picked him up, and it wasn't his best start. He wasn't great. He missed glove slide with pretty much everything. He walked a couple guys. Things kind of unraveled with a bunch of unearned runs in his last inning. And he didn't miss nearly as many bats with the fastball as he typically does. But, he was 4-6, touching 8, with obviously a lot of life on the fastball. That's going to be able to play. He's still got his strikeouts. Curveball's a hammer. Slider maybe wasn't quite as good as it's been in the past, but you still see like it's going to be a quality pitch.
You see the changeup?
He threw one changeup, so I don't have a ton of commentary on it, but he threw one.
Well, that's more than he threw his first start. I saw his first start.
Yeah.
He didn't throw it at all, which
he
didn't freaking need to. The guy was he, I'm trying to think of a way to put this family friendly. Big cojonesing hitters with his 0-0 curveballs for strikes like he was in his first start?
Not so much. His control command was not great.
Okay.
In like it's Jack Leiter, I'm not taking too much away from one start. That's not fantastic. His stuff's all there. It's really just getting a look at him multiple times and kind of projecting where the control command's going to end up. Because he's athletic enough to be a good command guy. He is like super high effort in his delivery, which is going to,
but
naturally.
But it's very repeatable though. Like
it is.
He has it down to a freaking science. That guy.
Well, that was the only takeaway I really had. I don't know that this means a ton at this stage, but the only takeaway I had really, besides this stuff's really good, is that he was not able to make inning adjustments the way I would like him to. Like the second inning, he was yanking everything glove side, and I would like him to have the wherewithal of his own delivery to be able to make that adjustment himself on the mound. And I kind of figured he was a guy who would be able to. So
mid-inning stuff, not like go to the dugout afterwards and have to talk to the catcher. Okay.
Right. In the third inning, I think it was the curveball and slider he was yanking again, and was not able to correct it mid-inning. So I would have liked to see him be able to do that. I don't know if this means that he will never be able to, because I feel like he's a guy who has a pretty good sense of his delivery, which was kind of why I was surprised he wasn't able to. But that was really the only takeaway I had, besides the pitches are going to play.
Yeah. Do you think part of that is because, at Vanderbilt, he was literally basically just a two-pitch guy, and, it was an advanced league. It is the SEC, but it is still college bats, and he was still miles ahead of them. I think part of it is because he's never really had to do that. Not that he couldn't, but he just never had to, so it's like getting into practice.
With some guys, yes. With his makeup, I don't know that that's really the case, because he's such a perfectionist on on executing all his pitches. Even if he was getting outs with them, I still feel like he's the kind of makeup it would still bother him that he wasn't executing.
Yeah, and speaking of him being perfectionist, there's this one quote that he said in this big feature on The Athletic about what he defines as like a perfect game. No, he said, in case you haven't seen it, the general gist of the quote was that a perfect game isn't 27 up, 27 out. It's executing perfectly on every single pitch you throw, and I don't think anybody's ever done that. And I was like, that is some type A nonsense to the letter. Yes, give me all of that. That's psychotic. I love it. Like, that's incredible to have that kind of mentality towards that. Like, that, people throw around the word like mentality and whatever, but like that's a pretty apt description of like what those top tier guys are thinking when they're out there. It's like, no, the best, literally the thing that only has been done 21 times in Major League Baseball history, and the hundreds of thousands of games. That's not good enough for me. Like,
look,
bonkers, man.
Aces are buttholes, and Leiter's got a little bit of butthole to him, so
that's good. You want that.
Yeah,
you want that. He's got the flashy smile for the fans, the say the right things, but the eyes that say I care about nothing but embarrassing, annihilating, destroying opposing hitters. And that's what it takes to be the best of the best. And that kid's got it. You can't teach that. He's got it.
Yeah. Yep.
Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about what some of the other prospects have been doing around the farm, what Grant thinks about this start to the season, and some other third thing. But first, this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. It is everyday fine jewelry, and Mother's Day is coming up. In case you didn't have that on your calendars, it's on your calendars, but in case you didn't have that on the brain, Mother's Day is coming up, so you should go ahead and start looking for those Mother's Day gifts. You can get fine jewelry. If you're having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7. They're available through phone or chat to help you get a memorable gift for every single budget. This Mother's Day, you can get mom something that she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Rangers listeners get $50 off $500. This podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. So, why don't you go ahead and use that code Locked On? Plus, every order is insured. And it ships free and comes in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. And now, back to my talk with Grant Schiller. And we are back with Grant Schiller, the prospects expert, the prognostication procrastinator, some other P word, Grant Schiller, talking about Rangers prospects. And you have seen Jack Leiter. You've gotten some eyes on some of the other guys in Frisco. Who else has stood out to you? Because I saw a little bit of a look at Dustin Harris at literally just one game. The only really one game that he struggled. I don't know if he still has his hit streak and on base streak, but last game he, for his first, I think 11 out of his first 12 games, he was on base, and I think 10 out of his first 12 games, he had a hit.
So I don't know. I want to see a lot more of him and really through the summer because he hasn't hit the ball as hard as we know he can. He's had a lot of struggles with off-speed stuff, so he hasn't looked super great out in left field.
No.
So he hasn't been coming out gangbusters like kind of the hope was after all the noise last year in spring training in the off season. Now, he's still got a lot to work with, and even with that, I think his overall numbers have been fairly solid. Obviously, small sample and minor league as a
it's all small sample, but I mean, I don't know about you, but especially talking about a major league roster for the past 4 years. And how different the seasons have all been, and especially the whiplash that we got from the Major League lockout. My baseball evaluation brain has kind of been thrown off. In 2019, that was the last real regular normal season that I had, where it's all right, I know all right, this is a week, whatever. This is what I'm supposed to freak out about. This is what I'm not, or okay, this is what I'm supposed to evaluate in spring training. But I don't know about you, but my brain feels like it's been thrown off on how to watch baseball games and everything. It just feels very broken.
Yeah, at the major league level, because they've been so bad.
Well, it's not. It's that matter. Too. That's also a huge part of it. Is that all right, I forgot what it's like to watch a team that because it's been since 2019 since there was a team with any expectations, and in between then there was a global pandemic, a 20-game shortened season where the Rangers thought they were going to do something and then fell off a freaking cliff for a month, and that's all it took to go from maybe an outside shot at one of those 18 or 37 playoff spots to second overall pick. And then last year was just an absolute just groin kick day in, day out from the freaking jump. Oh my gosh. I need to get my head right. And I guess just having one normal-ish season, which this season hasn't even been normal to start with.
It'll help.
Maybe it'll help. But speaking of a normal-ish season, or at least the Major League season, how much of the Major League team have you gotten to watch, and what are some of the things that you've kind of seen or taken away from this Major League team to start? Because it's been a little rough, but it's looked better at least the last couple of games, and hopefully last night that in the 137-0 shutout win of the Astros, in which the Houston team completely folded their franchise.
I watched a lot the first week, and I haven't been able to watch much since. So my observations are not real great, not real positive. I can tell you the bullpen has very little in the way of command, and the pitching staff on the whole is not great. And I'm on watch alert with Cole Calhoun.
Yeah, I'm worried about him. And as we're recording this, the Rangers I literally just in yesterday's episode talked about why is Willie, because go look on Baseball Savant, go look at Willie Calhoun's numbers right now, because Willie Calhoun's numbers are fantastic. The actual counting stats are bad, but he's making hard contact
Lots of it.
He's walking a good rate, a very good rate, like an elite rate. He is not swinging and missing. He is making contact. He's not striking out either. Like, but his numbers just have not been great. And I think they hit him 6, which they do need to hit him higher in the lineup. Because we've been on the Willie hype train, and like before the season, I'm like, if people just stop literally breaking his bones with baseballs, like there's a good hitter in there, and he's just gotten extremely unlucky for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at his WOBA, it's 303. His expected WOBA is 379 right now. So that's a pretty wide gap. He's got more walks than he does strikeouts. I mean, obviously he's had 40 at bats. I don't know. Gotta be somewhere in there. 42 plate appearances.
Yeah, in 15 games.
But like, he's running up some really good numbers right now. Yeah. So the Calhouns are going in opposite directions. Willie's very promising, and Cole can't hit a fastball in the zone.
That's not a recipe for success, especially not for a leadoff guy.
No, it's
of
not.
course, as we're recording this, Cole Calhoun probably had is gonna have some multi-hit night and hit a bunch of dingers. But I mean, as of this point, it's not really looking like it. But you talked about no command in the bullpen, and that's been an issue for like everybody. I mean, Matt Moore, surprisingly, he's been like really good. Apparently,
bullpen ace Matt Moore.
Bullpen ace. Excuse me, Matt Moore. Pitcher extraordinaire, but
can he name a random Ranger?
I think active is is a bit much. If you did, he's had too many plate appearances here, or too many innings, I should say, not plate appearances. You could do Greg Holland.
Yeah, goodness, he was terrible to watch.
Oh my god!
I mean, it took about 2 innings for me to be like, just let me not have to watch this dude ever again.
It's a real shame that's basically how his big league career is going to end.
Yeah,
because he was half decent last year. I get taking the chance on him, but anyway, Matt Moore has 8 strikeouts, but 7 walks in 6 1/3 innings. Albert Abreu has 7 walks in 6 1/3 innings. I mean, Garrett Richards have 5 walks in 6 innings. Like, everybody is walking a whole bunch of people, and it's getting a little concerning for me.
Yeah. I mean, when I've watched, it's brutal because every pitch is either out of the zone or right down the pipe. And so they're getting crushed, and there's no reason to think it's going to stop when half your pitches are middle. You can't just box everything. They're not a bullpen with elite stuff. So if they're going to come out there and box everything,
well, I don't know.
They're going to get crushed.
Albert Abreu has really nice stuff if he can figure out where the heck it's going. The raw stuff is pretty nice.
On the whole, though, I mean,
yeah,
it's...
Brock Burke isn't like touching 99, but like he has been putting up some nasty stuff in the bullpen, and I am.
Is he your reliever at this point? Because they just sent down Snyder.
Oh yeah,
he was not off to quite the start.
Brock Burke in 6 games, 9 2/3 innings, 16 strikeouts, no home runs, a 1.86 ERA. Guy's been nails. Okay. ERA does not lead the bullpen. That is bullpen ace Matt Moore with a 1.42 in 6 1/3 innings. But no, Brock Burke's been incredible, and he also has the most innings out of the pen because he has been the most effective. They've been able to go to him for multiple innings a bunch of times, and they have needed that. But there was a stretch of 5 games before this last stinker on Tuesday night where the Rangers bullpen, the actual bullpen, not the primary pitcher, Spencer Howard, but the actual bullpen in that 4 wins in 5 game streak let up literally 1 run in, I believe, 16 innings, which...
Yeah, I mean, that's just baseball variance.
Will have that? No, that was extreme dominance. That is...
Yes. That's exactly what it is.
But I'm curious if before the season, since you haven't gotten to watch a whole bunch of the Major League, if before the season you had a particular way you were leaning, because it seemed like the starting rotation, which we've seen literally none of John Gray, which is super unideal. We're actually going to get into this in just a second, but we're going to talk about which pitcher you're leaning towards of the 3 young guys in the rotation that you think will be starting on this team, if any, for the Rangers next contempt. But first, this word from our sponsors. This episode is also brought to you by BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is the number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. They've got all kinds of betting info. You can make some wagers on the NBA playoffs. You can bet on baseball. You can bet that I'm going to be, well, you can't bet that I'm going to be, I always say that you can bet on things you can't. But you can bet on, like, hockey. You can bet on baseball. You can bet on MLB or NBA playoffs. And I don't know, I'm sure there's some NFL things you can bet on. There's some kind of draft or something today or tomorrow. I don't know. It's a pretty big deal. Locked On has a lot of coverage of that. But, you know, if you want to make your bets, you can go to betonline.net, head to the website today, or use your mobile device to sign up to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. And now, back to my talk with Grant Schiller. And we are back with Grant Schiller to talk all things Texas Rangers baseball, majors, and prospects. And I posed this question before we had a break from our lovely advertisers. Because this season in the starting rotation, it is about next year, as is basically all of this team, except for Marcus Semien and Corey Seager and Mitch Garver. It's like, all right, those guys need to perform now. But the starting rotation, it's kind of all about next year. And next year is when we're going to have a lot more of Cole Winn. We will probably have Jack Leiter at some point. Yep. We will have maybe Cole Reagans and maybe some other guys, because there's a lot that are kind of close-ish on the Double-A side, or at least a lot of freaking talent on the Double-A side. And so there's three spots in this rotation of the young guys, which Taylor Hearn and Dane Dunning are 27. And they are verging towards no longer young guys. Spencer Howard is 25. He still counts as young guy, but he's also allowed as many home runs as he has innings pitched at this point. When he's not striking out everybody else. He hasn't walked anybody. I didn't notice that. I thought he'd walked somebody. Good for him. He has not. There you go. There's our positive point for Spencer Howard. He has 9 strikeouts in 5 innings as of this recording, and also 5 home runs. But of those 3, I think before the season, I leaned more towards Spencer Howard being that guy to be for sure sticking in the rotation. But the more I watch, and the more I'm thinking, well, Dane Dunning has obviously been the safest option. But I'm starting to think maybe none of these guys are in the starting rotation when the Rangers are next contending.
Yeah, so...
Which kind of sucks.
It does kind of suck. So I think that's certainly in play. I think if you get one of the 3, you take that. If you
one
get
of the 3
2 of the 3,
as in one of them being a 5, one of them being like a 4. Because ideally, in your contending rotation, you don't have a 5. You have a couple of 3s and maybe a couple 2s, and you definitely need a 1. And at worst, you need like a 4.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think if you can get one of them to be a big league 4, you take that. If you get 2, you're playing with house money. So, I mean, Hearn is missing more bats this year. He also continues to walk too many guys, and throughout his career, he's been pretty home run prone. I mean, he gives up a lot of fly balls. If you walk guys and you give up homers, you got to have a pretty elite K rate to make up for that, and I don't know that he's quite that guy. Dunning, I kind of came in with a pretty high expectation for the floor, at least, and like he's been okay. Like he knows how to pitch, but the stuff's backed up a little bit, and the stuff wasn't great to begin with.
He's walking guys too. He
is walking guys.
He got 3 home runs allowed and 8 walks in 18 1/3 innings.
And he does not have the stuff to walk guys.
No,
I mean his fastball's averaging 89 this year, 89.3. It's tough to succeed like that. It gives you a very narrow margin for error. And if you're walking 4 per 9, you're beyond that margin for error. Howard, so far, it's been a very small sample. The stuff looks better than it did last year. He looks more comfortable throwing, but the command is terrible. Yeah. It's real bad. I mean, I pulled up his baseball savant. His expected slugging against is 844 right now.
Yeah, it's been the actual slugging has been about that, is it not? Or maybe it's higher.
I think it's higher. I think it's higher.
It's been not good, and that's really because those 2 guys, The Raiders had like legit really good. Well, Lance Lynn, legit top 5 starter in the AL for like a 3-year span, and workhorse and guy who you can lean on, who Chicago has needed for several years, and the best they could get is this guy.
And now some of it is that he faced the Blue Jays, right? Like,
yeah, and that'll hurt anybody. That will hurt
guys.
Anybody and everybody. The fact the Rangers were able to get out with 1 win in that series. Also, the fact that it was the Spencer Howard game. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was kind of wild. But yeah, I mean, they gave up 2 all-star pitchers, and what they got was these 2 guys in return. Now, Avery Weems was also part of that trade as well? I believe Weems was in there, and maybe Weems will be fine, but I don't project him to be a starter. Like, maybe he's a decent back end of the bullpen guy, but I don't even know at this point. But, like, I don't know. I just kind of go back to my frustration with the state of trades in Major League Baseball. When the Rangers want to trade for a guy, they got to give up like 3 100 level guy, top 100 level guys. It's looking like the Joey Gallo return might be even better, and his price is coming down because New Yorkers and his own teammates are mean to him. I don't know if you saw the video when he finally hit his first home run. It's been a real struggle for him this year. When he finally hit his first home run, the Yankees did the whole fake silent treatment thing, and I was like, those monsters, they don't appreciate my son like they should. But and Josh Smith and Ziggy Duran and Glenn Otto is performed pretty well in his first Major League start and a couple of AAA starts this year.
Well, are the A's Major League? But
allegedly, and the A's decimated by COVID as well.
Right.
I think they had like 6 guys on the COVID IL when the Raiders came to. But
real quick, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. So, I guess Spencer Howard still is the highest ceiling of the 3.
Yeah.
I think his control command is going to be what really holds him back. I think there's a chance he develops into a pretty good reliever. Maybe he surprises and the command profile gets to enough where the stuff will play as a starter, because he probably does have starter level stuff still, even though it's he's been.
I mean, those strikeouts were legit, and like we both saw him in spring training. He looked really good.
Yeah. So I mean, he's got to be your highest ceiling guy. I think the chances of him staying a starter aren't super high.
Not at this point.
But he's probably the guy you hope on the most. Most likely, he's probably a pretty decent reliever in game. Dunning doesn't really carry relief profile, so like he's got to figure it out as a starter. I mean, he's a big league pitcher. I think it would be hard to deny he's at least that at this point. But is he a rotation member on a contending team, or is he just a filler guy for second division teams? I think if you had to guess the likelihood, it's the latter right now.
Yeah.
Now, if the stuff bounces back a little bit to where it was in 2020 levels, and he finds his pre-injury command, you've got something more. But those are a couple of really big ifs. The stuff doesn't tend to bounce back quite that much unless he's just battling a dead-on period. Maybe he is. And he's far enough out from his injury where he should have his command back, and he doesn't right now. So I think in all likelihood he's a filler guy for a second division team. Hearn's the one I really struggle with, because right now he's walking too many guys and he's giving up too many home runs to be a starter. If you're walking this many guys and you're giving up that many home runs, you're not a reliever either. So what's that profile look like? Again, he's another guy who, if he could figure out the command aspect, he's got the stuff to start. That's a huge if, though, and it doesn't seem like it's coming. So I don't know.
Do you have a question? I feel like you're building towards a question there.
No.
You just answered
my question
your own
is,
question.
Do you agree with me, I guess, or do you feel differently about any of them?
No, okay. I feel exactly the same. Like, Dunning has got the highest floor, but it's dropped out significantly with the stuff kind of backing up a little bit this year, and the walks, and I don't know, it felt like he was trying to strike guys out too much, and I'm like, that's not your thing.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. I thought adding that sweeper might have been I don't know. I think adding something different to his arsenal was
Has
good.
he thrown it yet?
He's thrown it quite a bit, and it's worked pretty well as a swing and miss pitch. The few times that I've like specifically noticed it, but I don't know. Taylor Hearn is. I'm shifting my focus more towards Taylor Hearn. I mean, Spencer Howard still does have that upside, but you're battling the command issues. You're also battling the lengthening out as a starter. Taylor Hearn can at least throw you 85 pitches, 90 pitches in a game, and you feel pretty good about it. I mean, he battled his way back, and he's had some pretty efficient innings. It's just kind of like hit and miss there. Like in his last start, he allowed 5 hits in five innings. I just talked about this yesterday, and the weakest hit one was a 97 mile an hour single from Jeremy Pena. Everything else was like 104 plus, and they ended up being a lot of singles and doubles. But like for every one of those, there's also the 3-run home run by Preston Tucker that was 111 miles an hour off the bat. But like, and those are just he's missing middle. He's nibbling less now, I feel like, and so that's improvement. He is still getting a decent number of strikeouts. He does still have the nasty rust off. I think it's just about to turn the corner because he showed that stretch the last couple of months of last year as a starter. I really liked what I saw. I think he can build off that. It just takes some time, and he had that horrendous major league start to his major league career, about as bad as you can have. Bounce back, was in the pen, showed great stuff in the pen, multi-innings, then came out. Like, I think it's there, and he's the one who I think I trust the most at this point to turn into that number 4 of that pairing of 3. I don't think it's doomsday necessarily if none of them do, because of the depth of those guys. It's not great. It's not good by any means, but like it's not like, oh, woe is me, everything sucks, punt it all down. Because there's like, 5 pitchers in Frisco with at least that you can dream on being major league starters. I'd say some of them are bigger dreams than others, but
yeah. If all goes right with 5 guys, then yes.
There's maybe let's say for the whole system of guys that you think, all right, even like a middle of the road projection, they're going to be a big league like starter. 5, 6 guys that you feel pretty confident in saying that. I mean, you got Cole Winn, you got Reagans. I feel like pretty good about. You got Jack Leiter, obviously, Owen White. Is that 4? That's 4.
So Leiter, Winn, White are the 3 who you feel really good about. And then, I mean, those are the 3 who it's like, okay, those guys are big league starters in all likelihood.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's 3 that you're confident on, and they've got a ton of depth.
Reagans and
imagine that some of them would.
Reagans and Vanasco, I feel pretty decent about those 2, especially with what Reagans has done, like coming back from what he did and like how he's looked. And
he needs a better third pitch.
He does, and I think he's working on it. I think he'll get it. I don't know that he's going to be like a 3 or anything, but I feel pretty decent that he's got a shot to be a 4 or at least contribute on a big league club. Like I
hope so.
I really feel good about that. But yeah, I feel pretty decent about the state of the system. Any other guys that stood out to you in particular before we head to our Random Ranger?
I think I like Ziggy Duran. I think he's pretty good. Well, he's not going to be a superstar, but
do you think he's a starter?
Maybe. I don't know. It takes me longer with hitters than it does with arms. But I've seen enough to know that he's good at baseball. And he's more advanced than kind of the reports were coming in. At least with like pitch recognition, plate discipline.
Because he didn't have a great start he started in Hickory, right? And then because he started in Hickory and it was pretty rough for him. And then the fall league, he crushed it. And then it was like, okay, how much do we trust that fall league? And it seems like he's done, at least put up pretty decent numbers. And I liked what I saw from him when I saw him play in Frisco. So, I don't know. That's encouraging. I kind of thought they'd play him a little more in the outfield, maybe left field even specifically, than they have. But, I'm not going to complain about him getting reps at second base and shortstop.
Short, yeah.
Because in all likelihood, that's where his value is as a bench guy with some pop and some, speed and some other tools. But that's encouraging. I'm glad that you like him because I also enjoy him. I think he's pretty decent at baseball.
Yeah, that Gallo trade, pretty good one.
Yeah, especially if Glenn Otto is the one who steps up. If none of those other three guys we talked about and Glenn Otto's the one, the fastball is playing up a little bit right now compared to what it was. The velo isn't quite where it was in the Yankee system, but the spin rate and stuff on it, that's nice. That'll play at least as a kind of nastier multi-innings reliever guy. But you're about to need to head out of here, so it is time for the beloved tradition of Random Rangers. If you have not stuck around to see this before, well, what the heck are you doing? You're obviously casual. That's okay. We accept all casuals and diehard fanatics.
L plus ratio plus clown plus casual.
Exactly. But also W, because you're staying for it now, so you'll get it. We pick a random Texas Ranger. The only rule is they have to have made the Major League roster. We have even decided that they don't even have to play a game. They just have to be in a Rangers jersey on the roster.
Have to accumulate service time.
Yes, they have to do that. So, without further ado, you already have a doozy of one picked, and I also have mine, but I'll let you go first.
I do, and it was crazy, actually, because I had picked this guy, and I texted you about him like a week and a half ago. And it was, I mean, it's a no-name guy. And then a couple nights ago, I'm listening to the Rangers game, and on comes a commercial advertising a roofing company of this guy. And it is, of course, former Aggie, former Ranger, outfielder Justin Ruggiano. 2016, he made I don't know if he made the open day roster or not, but he played in Game 3.
I want to say he did.
I thought he did too. We went 1 for 4 with a double, an RBI, and a strikeout, and that was it. I don't remember if he got DFA'd, somebody came back from injury, or he got hurt. But he played one game and he was gone. And now he advertises on Rangers radio for his roofing company.
Honestly, that's a great place for a guy like him because the hardcores will listen to the radio and be like, wait, I know that guy.
Uh-huh.
My roof is messed up. I'm going to call former Ranger great Ruggiano and his roofing company. It's a solid poll. Mine, it feels more random in hindsight, but he was actually a pretty decent Ranger. In 2013, 2014, he was a pitcher. He pitched in, where'd we go? 219 innings in Texas in those 2 years. Had a 4.56 ERA. Pretty solid pitcher, ERA plus of 89, so a little below league average. That is the great Nicholas Tepesh. Actually just listed as Nick, not listed as Nicholas. Rangers 14th round 14th round pick in 2010 out of the University of Missouri in Columbia. Last pitched in the major leagues in 2017. Pitched in 3 games for the Toronto Blue Jays. Had a 5.14 ERA. And that's the last that he has pitched in organized baseball. There's nowhere in here of him going to.
I thought he went to Korea.
He might have. If he did, I thought he did too. And I thought that he was making a comeback or something. The Rangers signed him to be on their minor league roster. But hold on. Let's see.
I thought he did. I thought they did.
Hold on. I'm hitting show minors, and it's nothing since 2018. I could have sworn that they did something with him. That he's even
Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Pull this up.
Yeah. So 2018. He was in the Toronto and Detroit systems, and in 2019 he was in Indy Ball, and that's it. So our memory is just shot.
There was some other random person that the Rangers signed as a minor league deal this year that I completely missed. But yeah, it's kind of wild to me because he was 29 in 2018, so he's 32 now if my math is right, which it sometimes is. So he's not
33.
33. Okay, there you go. He's not completely washed, but I'm a little surprised that he didn't pitch a little bit more because it was like he had a disastrous last stop in the big leagues of a 5.14 ERA or whatever. But interesting career. I feel pretty good about that poll.
That's a good one. Yep.
Well, Grant, thank you so much for joining me, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. If you tune into tomorrow's episode, I will be recording with Jake from Locked On Braves to talk about the Champs versus the Chumps series, the first actual game that I will be going to on Friday. And then Friday night, I'm going to have a special, actually maybe it'll be airing like on Wednesday. I think it's just going to be audio only. My buddy, who we bonded over our love of Major League Baseball and the Texas Rangers specifically, he is going to be on the show after we go to my first game at Globe Life Field, just talking about the experience. Probably audio only, so that'll be fun. It's been a while since I've seen him, so that'll be exciting. Some Braves talk on Friday, and hopefully in between now and then, a couple of Rangers wins against those stinking Houston Astros. Grant, thank you so much for joining me. Y'all go ahead and follow Grant on Twitter at OGShill. Follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. Follow the show at Locked On Rangers. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.